Okay, on today's episode, we have Nick. This was a great conversation, especially, getting, a perspective on high performance anxiety. This is something, I've seen a lot of people go through, especially, from, being high school in a sports background and all that kind of thing. So, it was cool just to sit down and have a talk about it and, getting this message out there, saying that we're all kind of we all go through it from time to time, and we talked about a few solutions in that, which was fantastic. But also to check out Nick's podcast, The Root of All Yips. He's just started out. It's a fantastic podcast, especially about, high performance anxiety, about, sports and all those kinds of things, which make sure you go check it out. It's fantastic. I'll link it down in the bio too below, and all his other social medias and that. And also, before we jump into today's podcast too, if you want to help out with the podcast a little bit more or a little bit extra, visit patreon.com/studio mindfulness. Every little bit can help, and you get a couple little goodies here and there too for, donating a little bit. But yeah, hope you enjoy today's episode. All right, welcome to the show, Nick.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
That's all good, man. So, you've just started a podcast called The Root of All Yips, which I was actually quite intrigued when you started this, because it's something even myself and everyone I know are kind of, suffer from, like high pressure situations and kind of falling through. But I'll start with the first question with this, man. Where did the Yips start for you?
All right. Well, the Yips started for me, I think coming towards the end of sort of year 12, I sort of noticed something was different. I was in the VIS, which is the Victorian Institute of Sport, for 3 years. Made, multiple state teams, scouts looking at me for, from professional teams, that kind of thing. And I believed in myself, but I always had that doubt in the back of my mind for forever. I always had to be sort of like pump myself up, but I always got through it. And then there was a lot of stuff happening in year 12, a lot of distractions happening. And then, as I was saying, I just didn't feel quite right. And then as it got closer to the end of that year, my performance got worse and worse, and I started to get in my head a bit more. And then it started to get because I had already sort of committed to going to college. I hadn't chosen one yet, or I hadn't been selected yet, but in my mind, I was always going to college. And then, as it sort of got closer and closer and closer, you go to college in about August. So, I was working here, and then, I was getting very nervous about things, and my performance wasn't great. And then, it just snowballed. And then when I got over to college in baseball, it didn't plan out the way I thought it would. Couldn't perform. I think I played maybe 2 innings, if that. As I've said in my podcast and to other people, I was quite embarrassed about coming back here and telling people that, oh, I've only played 2 innings. Everyone back here is expecting you to come back and be like, oh, killed her over there. And that was really hard for me to come back here and sort of hide away from telling people that I hardly played. So I always sort of just not ignored the question, but sort of change the topic, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, I 100% understand that, man, because especially when I guess it's like you have that high pressure on yourself because of what you think of others think of you, kind of thing. So then I guess when you go on the play over there, is that because you've made, I guess in everyone's eyes, you made the kind of, big league, you're on that final step, that you put this X amount of pressure on yourself before,
I think a lot of pressure built up, but I think what happened was I went on. I've been on another podcast with the sports psych that I went to see. Actually, he's going to be on my show next week. But
that'd be cool.
We established, it'll be really cool to dive into what he does. But we sort of established that I had a bit of both. I had a fear of success, but I had a fear of failure at the same time. But it's funny. I think a lot of people don't think about it like that. A lot of people think it's all fear of failure, but I think for me it was more a fear of success. And you subconsciously, when you do that, when you subconsciously, prevent yourself from going to that next level, and your conscious just doesn't understand what's going on, and you're trying to fight it, but you don't know how to, you don't know what to do. So took me a while to figure out what was going on, and I went to see this hypnosis sports psych. He's actually called the athlete's secret weapon. He helps a lot of athletes that are Olympic athletes and professional athletes. And the reason why he's called the athlete's secret weapon is because, it's a bit of a, not a secret, but I mean, you have to really believe in what he does. Otherwise it won't work for you.
I'm actually about to do hypnotherapy myself too.
Oh,
so
sick. No, definitely. Definitely do it. It's worth it. As long as you believe in it and give it your all, you'll get something out of it, I think.
Because like you even come back to it, man, like your subconscious brain runs about 95% of the show. So, and then even because of that fear of success, is that it's also scared of the unknown.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing that kind of happens to us, is that we get this snowballing effect or momentum to where we want to go, and then all of a sudden we're almost there. Then our brain's like, nah, I feel unsafe. There's too much uncertainty here. Then it starts sabotaging itself too. So I've done, because like a little bit about me, that I was about 10th to 15th in Queensland for 800 meters, but every time I got to a state level or a big comp, is that I always fell. As soon as I hit that second lap, my body just went, nah, I don't want to go, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So what level did you get up to with that?
So I went to nationals, but that was for a combined school comp, so it was a team thing. But yeah, I made it up to, I guess, would be representing regionals.
Yep. Okay. Oh, that's pretty good. And then, so what, you just got in your head and your performance started to go down, or?
Yeah, it did. It's kind of, I guess it was that fear, a little bit, as you were saying, that fear of success, because, for me, you can imagine what it feels like, but then subconsciously, you don't want to go there.
Yeah.
If that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, definitely. Are you still running now?
I actually, I stopped running probably about, a year and a half ago now.
Okay.
I got back into it about 2.5 years ago.
Right.
And then I took a step back from it because it was like working and then doing a few other things too. So I had way too many commitments and that.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Did you stop like originally because of what was happening, or
Yeah, that's like the original in grade 12. I kind of I got the reason why I kind of stopped was a little bit of that too. And when I got to regionals in grade 12, I was really sick a couple of days beforehand. And then I tried to run the race, and then I kind of just, I didn't run my best race. I kind of like hit the wall in the last lap. Kind of thing. But yeah, and I just kind of stopped after then because that year I actually put so much more effort into it.
Yeah.
And train, like I was training up to about 5 times a week then.
Okay. Were you in the what's the equivalent of, is it like the QIS or anything?
Yeah, can't remember off the top of my head. Something similar to that.
Yeah, that's cool. And what age were you when you stopped?
So it'll be 17.
Okay. And
then 22. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm finding, or I think that it affects, I don't know, just from what I've seen, is it affects a lot of younger people, sort of that early 20s, late teens seems to take effect more so then, from what I'm seeing. I mean, I was early 20s. Actually 19, early 20s, yeah.
I guess it's all...
Actually 19. 19, early 20s, yeah.
I guess it's also too when you're, I guess that age, that's when you have a lot of pressure on yourself because you got a lot of peer pressure from, I guess, mates, family, and that to, I wouldn't say necessarily in the sport, but to, create something with your life. So you have all this input coming in from every direction that you kind of start sabotaging yourself because you got so much pressure on yourself.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. I can understand that.
So before you went to college, did you experience this beforehand as you're growing up, or was it just before you went over to college?
Look, I was always a nervous sort of guy growing up, like especially when it came to sports and stuff. I guess everyone sort of says, "Oh, you should be nervous before things," but I think I was that sort of next level. I'll get very more so when it came to like tryouts as well. So for state teams and that kind of thing, I don't think I ever physically threw up, but I'd certainly felt like it a couple of times. So yeah, I was always sort of a nervous guy, but I think after I tell you what, like as soon as I got one out in a game, I'll be okay. I'll be fine. Once I get that first out, I'm good. But if I didn't get that first out, then it may not be as great a day as I was hoping for. But yeah, for some reason, yeah, I mean, I've always been nervous, but the yips are next level. It's not even it's like I mean, I've never jumped out of an airplane, but I'm thinking that's a similar feeling.
Yeah, it would be, because like even with myself, just recently I did like a public speaking event, and I think I got about halfway through and forgot everything, and I just kind of froze on stage. I was like, and then I finished up. And I was
that's the thing I want to sort of get into on my podcast is not just athletes but also business people or public speakers, that kind of thing, because it is, or musicians as well. Because I think it affects all sorts of aspects of life.
Yeah, definitely, especially that intense anxiety is that in any kind of area of life, it would affect your family, work, relationships, and all that kind of stuff. So I guess come back to, what were the kind of tools that you developed to deal with it?
Okay, well, yeah, it was at the start, like I had no clue what was happening. So I thought it might have been like a physical, I mean, I knew it was mental deep down, but I thought I could change it by working on my mechanics like constantly. So, especially at college, every day I would like ask my catcher, who was also a good friend of mine, can we go do a bullpen like every day? A bullpen is like practice pitching for those who don't know. Seriously, every day I would ask him, let's go do a bullpen. I want to fix this. Or I would go throw against the wall for hours, just trying to correct something, hoping that it would just click. And unfortunately it never did. But I mean, back then anyway, because it's much deeper than that. And so I tried all that, and then when I came back here to Australia, I went to go see a sports psych and the hypnotist, and he helped me and definitely helped me throwing again. Like I could actually throw the ball on the full, because there was a point in time where it got so bad that even the warm-ups, like I couldn't throw 5 meters. I couldn't even throw against the wall at my own house. Like it got that bad, like that into my head that and it took a while to fix, for sure. And then so I went to see sports psych, stillness meditation helped a bit, all those kind of things, and then you gradually just combine a bunch of different things together. I did a lot of research into it. I YouTubed a bunch of videos on people that had been through it before, how they got through it. I read a few books about it. Combined a few different things.
I think that's a great thing to do too, is that I guess with any kind of mental thing, there's no one solution to it. You got to be able to add a number of things to it, as like you're saying, go to hypno, you can go to psychologist, you can do the physical too, meditation, and all that. And it's using all these tools, because when these things do come up, sometimes that tool doesn't always work. And then you got another tool in the bag to lean on. So I think that's quite important to have a number of tools in your bag, kind of thing, for when these things come up.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it'll be good for me to, well, it's good that I've, in a way, it's kind of, I'm not glad that I went through it, because like I didn't perform the way I wanted to, but I've got the skills and the understanding, as best as I know, that I can sort of, if I see someone else going through it, or, you know, let's say my kid in the future is going through something, I'll be able to sort of see it and say, look, I went through it. This is what I did. Maybe try this. And that's the whole idea behind my podcast, is that I'm trying to help others that have been through it or going through it, just to let them know that, you know, they're not alone, and there is ways you can get through it and fix it as best you can. And you know, some people, I've seen professionals go through it. Some of them don't get through to the other side, but then some do. So it just, I think it all depends on how much you want to put into getting through it and fixing it, and how much you really want it.
I perfectly agree with that. And like, to point out, it's like you give a real person perspective on it when you share it with people. It's no like, I guess when you go see a psychologist or a scientist or something like that, they give you all the book work. If you get it from, say, your father, coach,
Yeah,
or friend, it's kind of an interpersonal kind of thing that, you know, be able to share that, and it's so much more relatable than hearing all this, you know, this is what this research says, this is what,
yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Well, I think it would have helped me a lot if somebody had come to me and said, look, I've been through this, I know what it's all about. This is not necessarily this is how you fix it, but just knowing that somebody had been through it, that you're not alone, that would have been a huge help, because it was so scary. I didn't know what was going on. I felt so embarrassed about things. And yeah, so I think that would have been a huge help, which is, yeah, the other one reason why I'm doing the podcast.
It's awesome to see that you're doing it too. And I think it's only really just recently people, like, even when I was in school, it wasn't something I was always taught about, because it was still more performance based, as we'll probably touch base on mental kind of thing, but it was still more, you know, the performance thing. And I think it's good to see that it's coming more open now, especially in schools, on social media and all that. But if we had a lot more, I guess, if it was a lot more open back then, we'll have a lot less people dealing with it, and also with mental health too.
Absolutely, yeah, because there wasn't much. I mean, there may have been things known back then, like I'm talking 2010. So, but I think, yeah, there was a lot of like, oh, don't talk about it. Even now, I mean, I think from what I've heard from professional athletes as well, is that especially in baseball, if you mention the yips in the locker room, everyone sort of just bolts in the other direction. Like, it's like a very like taboo topic. So yeah, there's still a lot of work to go, but it has come a long way in a short amount of time, 10 years. And I don't think you probably wouldn't have seen it mentioned as much as it is now, for sure.
It's 100%. It's crazy too that people still run away from these issues, even though there's so much, you know, stuff out there now saying everyone's kind of struggling with it, but we still, I guess it's still hardwired to hide it away from everyone.
Definitely, yeah. But yeah, as I said, like at college, like I tried to speak to, you know, certain different people, but they didn't quite know what to say, and there was just, I think in sports, we'll go to sports, but sports back then didn't really didn't really think about those things, or the knowledge wasn't there. Where I think it's really progressed now. I'm seeing, I just followed this girl on Instagram that's she's working for the Philadelphia Phillies as a mindset coach or a mental coach, which is awesome. I'm trying to get her on the show, but I think you wouldn't have seen that probably 10 years ago. And even when I had when I had Brad Harmon, the former major leaguer, on my show, he told me that, you know, he was looking up the staff where he actually used to play for the Phillies. So, and he said he was very impressed when he saw on the staff there was 2 staff members that were associated with dealing with the mental side of the game.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. Kind of lost my train of thought there. But
I was just saying that it's come a long way, and
and it's definitely going to, sorry to cut you off, it's definitely going to progress a lot quicker over the next, I guess, couple of years too, because even talking to a couple of younger people that are still in school and that, and they seem to be a lot more aware of the, mental states, and mental awareness is a lot more there instead of trying to shove it away. So we are going a lot in the right direction. But also too, did you ever witness anyone else apart from yourself go through it?
Look, I did, and I won't call it the funny thing is, but the ironic thing is, the year before I went through it, we were at I was on a provincial team or a state team when we were playing in Perth, and the catcher, he was struggling to throw it back to the pitcher. Like even just after it was just after the pitch. Like there's no play involved or anything. And, you know, the ball was bouncing and it was going over the top of the guy's pitcher's head, and he just couldn't throw it back to him. And everyone was like, "Oh, what's going on?" Like, and you could hear people sort of, laughing or making a quick joke here or there. And I think I was 18, and I'd never seen anything like that before except in a movie. And we're like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And then a year later, I went through something similar, which was ironic, I guess. But I have seen other people go through it. Yes.
Yeah, I've seen, like, even playing NRL and stuff too. You see, growing up, I've seen plenty of people go through it, and it's weird that, I guess, back then and having no knowledge about it. And if I had the knowledge now, I would have, you would have approached the person kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you mentioned NRL, I'll say AFL. You see a lot of the guys, you know, they miss right in front of the goals, and you go, well, I know you hear the commentators and they go, how they missed that? You know, they're getting paid all this money. But now you sort of, I think people are recognizing that it's a performance anxiety issue, definitely. And I see, for instance, I go for Essendon, and I've seen a few guys, they're right in front of goal and they had a shot, and what they'll do is they'll hand pass it off to another guy because they're afraid to miss in front of the crowd. But actually, in saying that, this season with no crowds, I've noticed that they're actually much more accurate, which is interesting.
That actually probably would make more sense because there's less pressure on you. You don't have, I guess, tens of thousands of people screaming at you either.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like, I guess it'd be like playing backyard football again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And how many times you would, you know, hit that goal, you know, I guess it's with the NRL, it's like kicking off the tee. So you'd be like, you do the sideline kicking, get it, you know, you see people in the backyard and get it 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
And it'd be the same as the AFL when you're kicking the goal from 50 meters out.
That's exactly right. So, I reckon the crowd's got a big part in it at that level anyway. And there is a guy that I recommend if you're interested in this sort of topic, looking up. It's I've mentioned him. I'm trying to get him on my show, and he's a big high profile. So I'm trying, but haven't got there yet. But his name's Rick Ankiel, and he was a pitcher for St. Louis Cardinals, and he was a gun, right? I think his signing bonus when he first signed was 1.2 million. So he was like a young kid, got 1.2 million. And then he's pitching in the playoffs, and 2 innings in, he's fine. 3rd inning comes along, and all of a sudden he just lost control. He couldn't throw the ball straight to save himself. And that was the end of his pitching career. Really, really intriguing story. But he actually ended up making it back into the major leagues as a position player. So he got dropped and released after failing as a pitcher, and then made it all the way back as an outfielder again. So quite an interesting story. I've got a book on it that I'm reading at the moment. It's very, very good, and I can relate a lot to it with what he went through. I go, oh yeah, I went through that too. I can pinpoint exactly the same stuff, except his obviously was a much higher level than I was.
It creates, as I was saying before, creates that relatability too. And it's so cool when you hear those stories of, someone failing and then all of a sudden rewiring how they think, and then they come back and, kill it pretty much.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he never really came back as a pitcher, which I think he was talking about doing like last year, even though he's a lot older now, but he's still talking about it, but he ended up not doing it. But that would have been, I was hoping that he would have done that, or it would have been exciting to see.
Definitely. So, Phil, guess what? Because I know I've listened to your first podcast, a couple of podcasts and that. So with baseball, what was the thing that kind of drawn you into it for everyone that's kind of listening on?
Yeah. Well, my dad played, so I've been around it since I was born. And then, just naturally started playing when I was 7 and then took it from there.
So what was, with the idea behind the podcast, so what would you say kind of really, sparked it, made you, take that first step with it?
Well, I've been wanting to do something for a few years. Like, I didn't know what I was going to do. Like, I was thinking about, I even started writing things down, like in my phone. I was thinking about putting a book together or something, or a short little, video on YouTube, because I'd seen that before. Someone else had done that. But yeah, I didn't quite know. I mean, a book is like, for me, that's like a huge step to do that. I'm not a huge reader, and wouldn't know where to start really. And video, I'm not bad at doing videos and stuff, but yeah, never really. I don't know. I'm not high profile enough for. And I saw my fiance. She started a podcast with her friend, I think a few months ago, and I thought, well, that could be a good idea. Like, maybe I could just try that. And yeah, it's been good. Got a lot of good feedback. A lot of people listening in, and getting a lot of support, and people saying, that they've been through something similar, or they know somebody, and they're listening in, which is great.
Yeah, and it's awesome work, I'm gonna have to say too, man. And then I've also come in, I've been doing it almost a year now. Is that how many opportunities it creates from doing it? And I went through the exact same thing that you did, man. Like I fiddled around for 3 years trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Like, my original idea was, I guess, I wanted to, share information and help people, because I had all this, I was because I researched mental health psychology for X amount of years. I'm I have all this knowledge, but I have no idea what to do with it, kind of thing. And one thing that sparked me to do a podcast was because that's where I learned a lot of my information from, because same with you, man, I'm not a big reader. I got heaps of books, but I barely read. It's and I'm I'll just do a podcast and then I'll see what happens from there. And then I've, done a couple of other things too. And I guess with 3 weeks ago, I did my first kind of little speaking thing, as I was saying before. Yeah, it creates these huge opportunities. And this is why I always, this is why I wanted to get you on the show too, because I love seeing people, starting out in, doing their passion kind of thing. It's a cool thing to see.
Yeah, it's I'm enjoying it too. So that's one reason. I'm just really, I've got work and other things, but this is sort of a cool little thing to have on the side as well. And it's also connecting with a lot of people, and also past players and friends and that kind of thing, getting in contact with them again, which is great. And just knowing that people have you've got their support, because I think going through going through it, going through the Yips and stuff, I always sort of, I felt, I don't know, like ashamed and embarrassed, and thought people thought that I was like this like, I don't know, like a fraud or something. Like it's hard to
It's in the imposter syndrome.
yeah, like because I was so, they had recruited me, and I was, very good, and working my way up, and then all of a sudden I'm really terrible. And the whole thing is that, I was thinking, the college coach thinks, oh God, what have we done? Like I'm never doing this again. Never going to scout somebody from Australia again. That's the way I felt. I mean, it's probably not true, but yeah. So it's good to know that people sort of don't feel that way or never did feel that way, and by putting this out there, I kind of realize that.
Yeah, it makes you kind of real, and it's crazy how much support you do get, especially when you do something like this, and especially with social media now, people have more of the courage to reach out and be like, hey, you're doing well. I like what you're doing. Or they have more of the courage to actually give you tips on things now too, which is even better.
Yeah. And also a lot of people don't, that I know from the past, some people don't know that I went through that, or that I've met along the years that I've just never mentioned. They know I played baseball, and they know I sort of played at college and stuff, but they don't know the full story behind everything, and why I sort of, never, I mean, I was still playing, but never progressed to that next level that I wanted to achieve. So that's kind of cool too. People are discovering my story.
Yeah, and I think we all need to share our story, because it creates, you realize that as you probably know, learning from this is that you're not alone. You're not the only one that goes through it. We all go through similar things at different stages through life.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I'm sort of learning too, is that everyone's going through something. So everyone's got a story, which is you've got to remember that probably people don't even, like, when I was going through it, I wish I had the maturity I do now, that I could say, like, nobody really cares. Like, nobody cares that you're not performing well. They're still going to love you. They're still going to be your mates. Like, don't panic about it. And that would have helped a lot. I think that would have helped me relax a bit more, and maybe I would have got out of it sooner.
Yeah, because most people just care that you show up. That's what they appreciate the most.
Yeah. And like, I'm talking more on the lines of coming back here and people asking me how I went. And I think I don't think people, like, I was just worried that, they're going to laugh in my face. But I think, like, they're probably more interested to hear the stories about college and stuff, which they loved. I know they did. I told them all about that. So that's the fun times as well. You've got to remember that it's all about having fun too, which I had a lot of fun over there. Not embarrassed about that side of thing. I had a great time. I made some awesome friends, and if I hadn't have gone there, I would never have met my fiance. So very thankful for going there, and I had the best time. I would recommend going to college 100% in the States. It's so much.
Just cut out a little bit there. I don't know if that's my end.
Yeah, no, it was fine my end.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, cut out a little bit there.
That's all right.
Yeah, but we'll wrap it up on this question, man. If I guess anyone else that's going through it, or just starting to acknowledge that they are going through it, what advice would you give to them?
Well, don't panic, because I think I see it a lot, and I definitely did myself. Don't panic about it. Like, just take a step back and sort of acknowledge what's happening. There's no Band-Aid effect for it. So seek some help. Talk to somebody about it. Pull your coach aside and say, I'm going through this. Do you have any advice for me? What have you experienced this? And then sort of, yeah, definitely go and seek some help for sure. And don't worry what other people think.
That's definitely good ones.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Thanks heaps for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having me on. I'm really appreciative you took the time to have me on the show.
That's good. My pleasure. Cheers.
Thanks.
Cheers for tuning in today's podcast, guys. I just want to put a quick thing out there. I am currently doing a online one-on-one course for your mental well-being. So you can check that out at mitchellcrocker.com/courses and all the rest of the information there. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out to me on any of my socials or email, which is on the website too. And also to tell me what you thought of the podcast, give us a like, so forth. And if you think this podcast will add some value to a friend, share it with them. But thank you for tuning in today, guys. Very much appreciate it.